Welcome to the Kingdom Corner. We got one thing to say right off the bat, though, Dale. How about
All right.
those Chiefs?
Chiefs. There you
That's
go.
right. I mean, we are Super Bowl champions back to back. First time in over 20 years since the Patriots did it. And
Man,
man, now we are once again champions, Dale.
I know that's pretty wild to think about. And you're already thinking about next year. It's crazy that
I
thing. I
know.
mean, but you're already thinking about, can we do a three-peat, the first team in NFL history to three-peat the Super Bowl? So that'd be pretty
Yeah.
impressive. So I know NBA's happened. I don't know about baseball because no one cares about baseball, but
Hey,
we
football is the
can.
new America pastime.
Yes, it is. And so three-time Super Bowl champs would be is pretty nice to hear. I mean, so let's enjoy this one, but it's pretty interesting to even already think about like, hey, can we do it again?
That's right. Hey, and right off the bat, we want to remind you, make sure you like, subscribe, share this, and most of all, leave us a great review on our website
Yeah,
or
yeah,
on
yeah.
whatever platform you're listening on. That helps us out more than anything. And so in this episode, we're going to be breaking down a little bit of our thoughts on the Super Bowl for the Super Bowl 58 champions, Kansas City Chiefs,
Oof.
talking a little bit about, man, where we might have seen the season going when we started, even in the middle or even towards the end. Maybe recapping our predictions for the playoff picture and our
Yeah,
brackets for
yeah,
that and so forth. And looking a little ahead to even next year, like some off-season acquisitions and who's going to be
yeah.
free agents. And man, is Andy Reid going to retire? How many years does Travis Kelce have left? And maybe how many rings can Patrick Mahomes really get in his career? So stick with us and we'll jump right into it.
Mahomes looks to throw it. Pump faking right side. He wants it. A comeback cut. It is caught by Kelce. Touchdown! Kansas City. The game is over. The Kansas City Chiefs are champions.
How about those Chiefs?
All right, Dale. So coming off a overtime victory, only the second overtime in Super Bowl
Wow.
history, and the first
Wow.
one with the new rules, which we'll get into more later. But
Thank you,
the
Buffalo
Chiefs,
Bills.
yeah, thank you, Buffalo Bills, exactly. But the Chiefs come out victorious in a 22-25 win in
Yeah.
overtime. And so, what are your initial thoughts and feelings about this Super Bowl? How's it
Man,
compared to some of these other ones?
that defense is really good. That's
Oh
my
man,
yeah,
yeah,
and that's probably my initial thought is this thing like Spags is amazing. And we've always been a big Spags supporter on this podcast. Never once had
I,
asked for his job, and I will
never
stand by
once.
that till I die.
Okay.
Uh, then I know,
Someone's
like,
got to.
and then the other thing that like the initial thoughts was like, man, are we watching the greatest quarterback ever? And I don't say that because I'm a Chiefs fan, but I think like if anybody was honest with themselves, are we watching the greatest quarterback to ever play the game? And before our
Man,
eyes, are we
yeah.
watching? Like it's one of those things where like I think we realized Brady was great, but it was like
Mm-hmm.
later on in his career to where now like Mahomes is like, man, is he like nothing seems too big for him?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Because even after Brady, I think what he won three and then three more like 10 years later with the Patriots,
Right?
right? And then won
Yeah, yeah,
seven with, or number seven
yeah.
with the
Numbers,
Bucks.
yeah,
And so, I mean, after those first three, I don't know that anybody was really saying that he was the greatest, right?
right,
Even after he won
yeah,
three in, a 4 or 5 year span, whatever it was.
yeah, yeah.
And now Mahomes has done it, and we're now questioning or bringing up the question at least, is
Right.
Mahomes the greatest? And we didn't
Yeah.
necessarily give the same benefit to Brady, but Brady is one of those guys who's kind of sits back and will tear you up from the pocket and, is just so
Right.
smart he can tear you up. And Mahomes has that smart capability as well, but he's
Yeah.
also more athletic than Tom Brady. And no shade at Tom Brady at all. I'm not trying to do
No, no,
that.
no.
But
No.
just Patrick Mahomes is just so athletic that he can run on you. He can make the deep throws, the short throws, the incredible no look throws and
Yeah.
sideways throws and back across your field and across your body that you're not supposed to do, but still put it in the perfect spot kind of throw. And
Yeah.
I think that does make a difference.
Yes, it does. It definitely does. And so I think like you can't play zone on him all the time or he'll start picking you apart. You can't play man on
Yeah.
you because he'll get Travis Kelce in a great situation or get one of his wide receivers in a great situation or he'll take off running. And so it's like it's crazy just how there's so many levels. I think that's one thing, like there's so many different levels to Mahomes. Like with Tom, you could beat him if you got pressure with four, right?
Yeah.
And so like I think the same can go for Mahomes. I think that's where we've seen him at the weakest, but I think also that he can change that he's a game changer, man. He's a game changer.
Yeah. So I know it's hard to do it as Chiefs fans here, but trying to look at it objectively, do you really think that if you were not Chiefs fan, that you would think that Mahomes would be at least in the conversation, if not the greatest of all time at his position?
Yeah, I think we need to get a little closer. I think he needs to at least pass Montana in Super Bowls to be determine one of the greatest. And so I think he'd be one step. He's one step closer for sure.
Well,
But
he's just one behind Montana now, correct?
Right.
And so if
Right.
he wins
Yeah.
one more, he'll be tied with Montana.
Yeah, and I think I've definitely taken Mahomes over Montana, right? Because the athletic and the different abilities that he can do, and the way he can throw, the arm angles and things, and all that. But yeah, definitely he's being talked about, and I think like just what he's done with the people around him, how he's elevated. I think we talk about that a lot in sports. Is it's like how does the great players elevate other players? I mean,
yeah,
I don't think. Is any of our wide receivers starting on the 49ers team?
Rashee Rice might, not necessarily above Debo or not necessarily above even Brandon Ayuk right now, but for sure over Jennings, right, who had a couple of big plays last night. I think Rashee Rice would start over him.
Okay, all right.
So
he'd be like the number 3. All right, there you go. Enough said.
But I'll say this though. I'll say this. I think in a couple of years, Rashee Rice would be a 1 or 2 on.
Yeah. I'm saying right now.
Yeah.
So he's elevated.
The flip side of that argument is this: a lot of people make is people say, well, it's just Andy Reid or all the weapons they put around, because even though they don't have a true, wide receiver 1 that might start for the 49ers, they do have a man in the name of Travis Kelce who would start.
Right.
No matter what team he's on, he'd be starting. So that's the flip side of that argument is people say, well, Mahomes has Travis Kelce and Andy Reid, and that makes a big difference and helps them to be able to win those games.
Yeah, I think if that's the case, then Brock Purdy should have won last night because he has Kyle Shanahan, who's no bum. He has a Hall of Fame left tackle, a Hall of Fame running back if he continues the course, a Hall of Fame tight end, a Hall of Fame wide receiver. I mean, this guy is just like loaded. And so I think it's the Mahomes effect, the Mahomes factor, if you will. So I know I don't want to get us off topic here too much, but I think if I was not a fan of the Chargers, the Broncos, or the Raiders, I think objectively you could see okay, Mahomes is on the path to be the greatest quarterback ever.
Yeah. Yeah. And
to answer your question 10 minutes ago.
No, you're good. No, I would agree with you. And I think I can make an argument right now that he's at least top 2 with only Tom Brady in front of him.
Oh, yeah.
And I think if he wins 1, I don't think he even has to win 7 like Tom Brady to be greater than Tom Brady.
Right.
But since we're already talking about it, how many rings do you think Mahomes can get in his career? We
8,
talked about this before they won last year. And I don't remember what you said, but I know I said I think he's going to get 3. And that was before they won last year and this year. And so now he already has 3. And I'm thinking I way undershot it because I think he's going to get at least 2 more now. Maybe more than that. So I think at a minimum, and obviously anything can happen with injuries and things like that and accidents with people.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, definitely.
Without any injuries or things like that, something happening, even losing a coach like Andy Reid saying he retires or whatever.
Yeah.
But if none of those things happen, I think he can get 2 more pretty easily. To get to 7, I'm not going to say he's going to be able to do that yet because that's a lot. But I think not Tom Brady. I think Patrick Mahomes can get at least 5, though.
At least 5. Okay. So, 5. So, how many more years do you think Mahomes plays? Do you think he plays 15?
At least 10. At least 10.
10 more or at least 10 total? 10 more years?
No, 10 more. 10
okay,
more.
10 more. 10 more.
Okay. Year number 7. Year number 6 is a starter right now. I mean, 10 total is only 4 more, Dale.
I know. I didn't know it. He may make too much money and just say, hey, you know what? I'm going to go enjoy my money.
Does it look like he's a guy who, I mean, yes, he does enjoy his money very much so.
Yeah.
Does he seem like the kind of guy who doesn't also enjoy just winning games and being that competitor in those games?
He does. Yeah, he does look like that guy. Yeah, so
the same way Tom Brady was. And I think if his body will hold up, I think he'll play till at least 40.
Yeah. So, I think Mahomes, from what I hear from interviews and things like that, I think he wants to get at least 7, if not 8.
Oh, well, everybody wants to get
Well,
there.
I know, but I
But
mean,
yeah, so
I
he
know, but
wants
I
to
think
be equal to Brady at least, you're saying.
or more. I think he has to get more than Brady to be that GOAT conversation because I think the one thing Brady has against Mahomes is their matchups. He's 2-0 against Mahomes, and
Now,
Mahomes is 0-2 against Brady. So I
yeah,
mean, like,
I understand that. But
yeah,
now,
yeah.
is this you saying that he has to get to 7 to be better than Tom Brady, or are you saying that's what the national people are saying?
Oh, I think that will be the narrative that is spent. That will be the
Yeah.
argument. So I think if he can
No,
get seven
I
or
agree.
8, I think you would be like, oh, okay, this guy is the greatest ever. Like, there's no question. There's no debate. I mean, like, for me, it's like the Jordan debate. There's no debate. Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player to ever play,
Absolutely.
Followed by Kobe Bryant. And so, I
Absolutely.
mean, like, there's no question. So I think like that point where you like, who's the greatest? Mahomes, right?
Yep.
And I would because I will always be biased in that sense. I mean, even if he doesn't win another
You.
one, I will think he's the greatest quarterback ever
Yeah.
that I've ever seen.
I mean,
So
they even said in the post game last night that if he were to retire today, he'd be a first ballot Hall of Famer,
yeah,
right? So
yeah,
jumping back into the game, so
yeah,
what impressed you? And specifically, I think we're both going to say the defense. The defense
yeah.
played lights out for both teams, admittedly,
Right.
right? And so,
Yeah.
what was good about the defense last night? Who
So
surprised you and stepped up?
in Spags we trust, man. And
Right.
so definitely I thought he just had a better game plan than Kyle Shanahan on the offensive side. And Brock Purdy did not know what to do with the blitz. When they blitzed on third down, it just ate them up. And that was stopped a bunch of drives and turned into field
Yeah.
goals. And so I think that was
Yep.
probably the biggest thing that stood out to me was the fact that he blitzed at the right time. And then credit McDuffie, I think another thing was Chris Jones. I think it was maybe the last drive and regular he like threw a guard to get pressure on Brock Purdy. It was like impressive. It was
Yeah.
like one of the most impressive things. Like, it's like when Chris Jones needed to get pressure on Purdy, he did. And it was just fantastic to see the defense play like that and play
Yeah.
and step up big
Well,
time.
and Chris Jones created that pressure in overtime on that
Yeah.
third down when they
That's
were
yeah.
on that last play there
Okay.
to
Yeah.
force that incompletion. I don't know if that's the one you're talking about, but that was in
Yeah, that's the one I'm
overtime.
thinking of. Yeah, you're right. Okay.
And he blitzed, and so he almost I'm not gonna say single handedly, but he for sure affected the play to force the field goal.
Right.
And so I mean that's one thing that stuck out to me is Chris Jones wants to be paid, and man, he showed up in the big moments. Like
He did.
he
did.
There's some people saying, well, he should have got more. It's like you don't have to get a sack to affect the game.
No. No, you do not.
You don't even have to touch the quarterback to
Right.
affect the game. If you get pressure and the quarterback thinks you're
Yeah.
going to hit him, that is enough to affect the game. And there's
Yeah.
a throw last night, and I don't remember who was putting the pressure on. Might have been Chris Jones, but it's earlier in the game where Brock Purdy threw it to the corner of the end zone, or
Yeah.
threw it to the end zone, I should say, and
Yeah.
overthrew his receiver because he had pressure on him. And I thought, man, that reminded me so much of the first Super Bowl match against the 49ers. When Garoppolo overthrew his man who had
Yep.
a good few steps on his guy. And the same thing last night. This guy would have walked in for a touchdown if he completes it, but because of the pressure, wasn't able to put it in the right
Well, yeah.
spot. And so
That's hilarious.
and
Yeah.
even last night I thought there are so many similarities to that first game because even in the
Yeah.
first quarter we were down by 10, and I tweeted out, hey, we're down by 10 to the 49ers
Yeah.
in the Super Bowl. We got them right where we want them because we know how
Bingo.
this story ends.
Bingo. And to come back and to win is pretty impressive. Pretty
Yeah.
impressive. So I think they've been down 10 every time they've been in Super Bowl.
Yeah, they have every time.
Every time. So
And 3 of the
there you
4
go.
they've come back.
Yeah, 3 of the 4. I mean,
But we don't like to talk about that other one.
no, we do not. No, and it's funny you said that about that play because I said that you may think I would be lying about this, but I'm serious. I said the same thing to a guy I was sitting next to about that play. It was like, oh, that's a Garoppolo play. That's a miss. That's a big miss.
Yeah,
And
I said it in the moment as well. Great minds right here.
Yeah,
Great
there you
minds.
go. There you go. Love it.
So who on the defense, other than maybe the ones that normally stand out, was there anybody that really impressed you?
Yeah, Chanel.
Yeah.
Chanel.
Yeah, I just read earlier, if you want to take the fake grades that PFF gives out, because I don't know if I necessarily trust those grades. They're basically fake news, but
oh man,
but
there you go.
I'm just saying they're
Yeah.
so
I'm with you.
inconsistent with what
I'm
they
with
do.
you.
But if you want to look into those things, they graded Leo Chanel as the highest graded player in the game.
Yeah, I think he had a couple pressures early on. I think he had the pressure for that overthrow in the back of the end zone.
Yeah,
I
it
could be
could have
wrong. I
been.
mean,
I
but
don't
he had
remember
some
who it was
pressures.
now, but yeah.
He came up big in the screen game. I think he was hitting people and losing yards, and so I think he made a lot of I think he made like 3 impactful plays in that game, which is huge. I mean, to make an impactful game in this or play in the Super Bowl is pretty impressive. And so, yeah, Leon Chanel, who a lot of people don't know who he is, but yeah, he definitely made some big plays.
Yeah, I would say one of the ones that stood out to me was Mike Pennell on the defensive line, right?
Okay, yeah,
He's just
yeah,
a guy
yeah,
who rotates in, but he had at
yeah,
least 2 huge stops at the line of
yeah,
scrimmage on Christian McCaffrey, who's not an easy
yeah.
person to bring down.
No,
And, and so here's some of the defensive or what the defense for the Chiefs held the 49ers to, this
yeah,
explosive
yeah,
offense that which we talk about. And once again,
yeah.
taking nothing away from the 49ers, we want to say that up front. I mean, hats off to the 49ers
Oh yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
their
yeah, yeah.
season. They had a great year, absolutely proved they deserved to be in the Super Bowl
Yeah,
and
definitely.
had a chance to win it as well. Unfortunately, just didn't fall their way. Fortunately for us, it did fall our way, but that game could
Yeah,
have
yeah,
flipped either way. Just like any game, there's a few plays here and there they would have gone a little bit differently. Who knows what would have
yeah,
happened?
yeah.
But here's what they did. They held Brock Purdy to 255 passing yards,
Mm-hmm.
uh, under under 100 rating and under 100 QBR for Brock Purdy. Christian McCaffrey held him to 80 rushing yards, which for him that's really good,
Yeah,
right? So
really good.
only giving up 3.6 yards per carry to Christian McCaffrey. So
Wow.
fantastic. Receiving Christian McCaffrey, that's where he hurt us the most. He had 80 receiving yards. McCaffrey then. But after him, Brandon Ayuk, their leading wide receiver, had 49. Jennings,
Man,
who had a couple of huge plays, had 42 yards, and Deebo Samuel had 33 yards. So
man.
those were their top receivers in the game right there. And so
Yeah.
once again, just proving the Chiefs defense,
Did
man,
Kittle only have
they
one catch?
stood up. Kittle, I believe he had 2 catches for 4
Okay.
yards. So
Oh,
4 targets. I'm
oh,
sorry, 3 targets. 2
three
catches
targets.
on 3 targets for 4 yards.
It's tough. I
So
like George
Travis,
Kittle. That's tough.
I know I like him too. He seems to be a really solid guy there. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but man, hats off to them. And the other big play I thought was the special teams showing up big, right?
Oof.
I mean, one of them you can call a fluke or whatever you want when that punt bounces off the guy's
Yeah.
leg and Chiefs recover it. But either way, they still recovered it. The other side, big play, maybe bigger than we realized even in the moment, was that blocked extra
Yeah.
point.
That's
I mean,
huge.
that was huge because it came down the end. And if they make that, we have to go for a touchdown to win the game instead of going for a field goal to tie the game because a field goal would have just. So that came out to be
Unreal.
huge in the game. So
Yeah.
what a big play. And shout out to Harrison Butker setting a Super Bowl record for the longest
Man.
field goal with 57 yards, breaking the previous record of 55 yards set, a quarter earlier, however long it was. So,
Yeah, yeah. He had it for about 20 minutes in game time.
yeah.
Congratulations, Moody.
Yeah. Hey, and we also got to shout out Tommy Townsend. I don't know if you noticed on that
Man.
it was a high snap that he grabbed and got down. When I saw that snap, I thought, oh no, that's not good.
No.
But Tommy Townsend, solid, grabbed it,
He
put it
was
in place.
bombing. He was bombing balls.
He was. Man,
He was
had that one. He had that
yeah.
one that they fair catch on no bounce for 61 yards.
It was
I
crazy.
mean, that was very crazy. So
Yeah.
let's see, his punting average was 50 yards.
Man.
So that's pretty good. Pretty good. Along with 62.
Yeah.
So and that 62 yarder was on a fair catch as well, if you remember.
Yep.
So that's no bouncing. So that's an incredible leg right there.
Yes.
So let's jump to the offense. What did you think about the offense?
Yeah, I thought it was mediocre at best until the end.
Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, Travis Kelce had 1 yard in the first half and then ended up with 92 yards in the second half in overtime. So end up with 93 yards total. So I agree. Pacheco, he is getting stopped a few times, but man, I'll tell you this, even though he's getting stuffed time after time and no fault to his own, that's just a great defensive line, which we talked about
it is.
going into the game. But he kept running hard as if he was going to break through eventually. And that's what we love about Pacheco is no matter what was going on in the game, he is running hard.
Yep. And so I mean, like they were able to move the ball, and they had a couple turnovers that were costly. But the fact that they were able to move the ball was a good sign. But they had to work for everything. Everything they got, they had to work for, and so
Yeah.
they still they held in there, and they kept grinding. And I think Mahomes kept collecting data, and then by the fourth quarter, Mahomes used that data to carve them up.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the overtime is what really threw a lot of people off, me included. I knew they were a little bit different, but I didn't realize how different they were until they were explaining the rules. And I didn't realize that both teams were going to get possession, even if the first team got a touchdown. So, as you pointed out earlier, thank you to the Buffalo Bills for that.
Yes,
We're very
thank you.
appreciative of that.
I'm very glad. I
And
think it takes a lot. It takes a lot of pressure off.
Yeah, and I will say this too: the previous year, before the rule change went into place, is when the Chiefs lost to the Patriots in the AFC Championship game. The Chiefs submitted a rule change for the overtime as well, and everybody voted against it except for the Chiefs. Shocker,
man.
right? Shocker. And then the next year, the Chiefs win because of the same overtime rules that were not changed.
Yeah.
And then the Bills complain about it, submit a request, and what do you know? It passes.
Wait, what do you mean? Everyone voted yes? Not. Oh, that's strange.
I know.
The year before, they voted no.
Like they didn't want the Chiefs to get the advantage of it. And what do you know? We become the advantage of it in the Super Bowl. So thank you, Buffalo Bills. We appreciate it.
Yes,
we're your second biggest fans.
There you go.
So, the overtime was a little bit different. And so the 49ers take the ball first. And I don't know that there's really a right or wrong way to do it, because it's never happened before. We've never had to use these overtime rules in the playoffs yet.
But I think Shanahan made the right call, because if you remember, the Chiefs had the ball and kicked a field goal, right? To go to kicking it overtime. Their team had just been on the field. Their defense had just been on the field for 11 plays. And so I think they did make the right call, because like if you put your defense out there again, well, that could mean that, because like you're right, no matter what happens, you're getting an opportunity, and you kind of, like, let's set the tone. I mean, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I think Shanahan for his team did make the right selection, because he's like, hey, I can get my guys rest, then that's going to help us in overtime. And it just didn't work out because 15's on the other side of the ball.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that at all. I mean, you got to do what's best for your guys. If you're saying your defense, hey, they just went on a long drive, now you're going to get no break. And they're going to go on another long drive. It's probably not going to end well for your defense, but we don't really know.
No.
But the flip side of that is, if you get the ball second, you know what you have to do if the first team scores in order to win. And so, you know that on fourth down, you have to go for it like they did. And Mahomes, runs for it or fakes the pass and whatever else and gets the first down. So great call play.
If then if they both, let's say hypothetically the Chiefs would have kicked a field goal, right?
Yeah.
In the rules, do you know if the next score then wins the game no matter what, whether field goal or touchdown?
Yes, I believe so.
Oh, so then I think the 49ers would have been the smart ones, right? Because they would have kicked, if they would have held the Chiefs to a field goal, they would have got the ball back, and then they could have went down and kicked a field game over, but they didn't hold them to a field goal. So that all hypothetical. That's why hypothetical questions are dumb.
All right. Well, thanks for throwing that out there and admitting it. Yeah. But I will say, there's one thing that confused a lot of people that we can help clear up a little bit. Towards the end of that overtime, time on the clock is ticking out, and everybody's hollering, "Oh, timeout, call a timeout." And I was kind of one of those too, because I didn't quite understand what was going on with the new rules. But because it's still the Chiefs' first possession, it didn't matter if the time ran out. It's going to basically be the end of what would have been similar to a first quarter and just gone to more time. So in reality, I don't know why they have a clock in the
there you go.
in the postseason. In the regular season, it makes sense, because in the regular season you can end in a tie. In the postseason, you cannot. And so I don't know why we need a clock in the postseason for overtime.
Yeah, this is not England. We don't end games, the biggest games, in a tie.
No, we sure don't. We're not going to split the trophy in half. So
no, exactly.
No, not at all. So it was good. So how about this? So Mahomes wins his third MVP for the Super Bowl. So outside of Mahomes, who would have you given the MVP to?
Harrison Butker.
Oh man, I don't know if I can argue with that, but I'm going to pull out somebody else just because, just to be different here. So
Yeah.
I'll say Chris Jones simply because
Oh
he
yeah.
impacted the game in so many ways. It might not all
Yeah.
show up on a stat sheet,
Yeah.
but he did make some impactful plays. You could also make a great argument, I think, for McDuffie.
Or Travis Kelce. You can
or-
make a huge yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
I think
there's
he willed that team to victory. Dude, that
So,
I thought he was going to score on that sideline play. I was like, dude, this guy's
oh
going to
man, I
score.
did too.
I was like, he's just going to run. I mean, I had that flashback of that Chargers game where he caught the ball like in the same about the same spot and just ran into the end zone. Like, just like, I was like, here we go.
Put his head down and plowed through him.
Dude, he laid that guy out. I feel terrible that guy got hurt. I mean, like, but I mean, I don't want to see anybody get hurt, but he laid that guy out. I don't even know who it was, but
he was on a mission and he was not going to be stopped.
Dude. Anyway, but those are all good ones too. I mean, Chris Jones, hats off to him. I wish we had enough money to keep him. I really don't know how we'd keep him for the money that he wants. And so
maybe after winning back to back, we'll talk about more so. Maybe he'll reconsider his price, but who knows?
Well, all three. He's had three. Doesn't he have three too? He has three, right?
He has three.
Yeah. I'm winning back to back. Let's go back to back to back. All right. Anyway, go.
Yeah. All right. So how would you describe the season?
Never a doubt.
Never a doubt. All right, I like it. So I'll start with this too. I think this was like I said this after the second one. I said I enjoyed the first one more, the first Super Bowl that they won. Phrase that in my lifetime. Because I was just so happy that they actually won one. I appreciated the second one more because I realized how hard it was to get. And this one, man, I think I appreciate even more because and there's times in the season that admittedly, I'll say I didn't think that the Chiefs were going to make the Super Bowl. I even said, on this podcast, I said, I think the Chiefs will go to the playoffs, win one game, and doesn't matter who they're playing the second game, they're going to lose that game just based on how they were playing. So I thought they'd be one and done. But I'm glad I was wrong. And so they came out and they played at a whole different level in the playoffs. And here's what I think happened. I think Mahomes realized, and the other guys too. I think they realized we can't be the team who we were last year or the team we were, 3 years ago when we won. We have to be the team that we are this year and play to our strengths, which is our defense and more of our running game than the deep passes, and just take what the defense is going to give us, which is for the most part short passes, between 5 to 10 yards.
Yeah. Can I tell you when I think that happened?
Well, you can tell me. I know what they said in the post game, but go ahead.
Oh, did they say something about this in the post game?
They did, but tell me what you think, and then I'll tell you what they said.
Oh, okay. The Raiders game.
Yeah.
That's what they said.
That's what Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes said in the post game.
Did they really? Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
They were. I watched it for quite a while. I was up pretty late last night. I watched the post game on CBS. I watched the post game on Sports Center. I watched the post game on NFL. I mean.
Wow.
But the other side is I had so much adrenaline going. I wasn't going to sleep anyway. So I watched all the postseason stuff from every network.
There you go.
So I don't know which one it was on, but one of them, they're interviewing them and both of them said, the thing that really kind of got us turned around was that Raiders game when we lost on Christmas Day, because it kind of shook them up and said, okay, we got to do something different if we want to win.
And they changed it. There you go.
I think this season can be defined as Patrick Mahomes' probably the best defense he will ever play with. I don't think they'll be able to keep everybody again.
No, not enough money.
We'll point this out too, is this is the youngest defense that's ever won a Super Bowl. So
younger than last year's defense?
Yeah, younger than last year. So youngest defense that's ever won a Super Bowl.
There you go.
Yeah, so it was a great season. So, man, we're excited that they were able to pull that out. But there's definitely times that I wasn't quite like you, where I was never a doubt. I was the one who also questioned that they would come back with 13 seconds left, and you said, "No, Andrew, they got it. They got it."
I know, so. I did say that, but I don't think I thought they would win the Super Bowl. I know I always was saying 87% chance they're going to win the Super Bowl. There's a 15% chance. they go or whatever. But I think there was like times where like you can't, the way they were playing before that Raiders game, it's like there's no way they could win because they were trying to be the old Chiefs in the sense of like we're gonna score 40 points or 30 points in the game, we'll just outscore you. And so yeah, there's definitely doubt. And yeah, but no, it's good to see. I'm glad they worked super hard and we get to watch a great product on the field. So very exciting.
Yep, absolutely, man. We'll take that every single time. So yeah, so any last thoughts on the Super Bowl before we move on to our other things?
Tony Romo did a fantastic job.
Yeah,
I think he should call every game.
Okay.
Every Chiefs game. Every Chiefs game. Every Chiefs game.
Opinions on Tony Romo. I would prefer that he not call any game in the NFL ever for Chiefs or anybody. I feel like when Tony Romo calls games, he shows his bias in his play calling. And I know at this point you're just saying it to work me up, and it worked. I'll tell you, it worked. So
well, I may saw your tweet about Tony Romo, so I had to say it.
Well, I think Tony Romo should be put in a box and then shipped off back to Dallas. So
that's it. He is a national treasure, a gift to National Football League. So let's just enjoy it. I mean, we probably only got like, I think this is his third year. We only got 7 more years of Tony. Because CBS gave him 10-year deal, and so we should just
CBS might be looking to get out of that deal is all I'm saying. So
there you go.
Unfortunately, they're paying him too much money to not make him their top broadcaster, him and his crew.
Yeah.
But oh man, that guy, I don't think this is even me being biased. I think it's true. You watch him in any games, and if he has a team that he really wants to win or lose, it is obvious in how he commentates the game. So not a fan.
There you go.
So anyways, moving on from that. So here's the other big question. Is Andy Reid going to retire anytime soon?
No, I think he said I heard there was reports today that he's coming back and he's going to be given a new deal.
Hey, extension. You know what? I don't think there was no question in my mind anyway.
Oh, okay.
No question in my mind.
And, no.
They were interviewing him and his wife, Tammy, after the game too, and she says, like, I'm not making an announcement, but I can just tell, because they asked her, like, what do you see in this guy? Who is this guy? How would you explain him? And she basically said, I can tell that he's just loving it. Just loving it. He's
loving ball.
Enjoying this moment, enjoying being with these players. And so, but even speaking about players, let's talk about this real quick. What do you think about the Travis Kelce and Andy Reid interaction there on the sideline the first half? When Travis Kelce goes and kind of bumps in, and you can tell he's screaming something at him. What did you take from that?
I think, if I was Travis Kelce, I think I would have been doing the same thing. Please give me the ball, because I'm not going to fumble inside the 10. Nothing against Pacheco. Love Pacheco. He's great. But it's like, come on. We know what we need to do, and we know what we are. Yeah.
Sometimes those players try too hard with him. He was trying to get a few extra yards, which I appreciate, but he just, in the process, wasn't protecting the ball as well as maybe he should have been. MVS had a similar moment in the second half where he got tackled and pushed backwards. Instead of going down, just continued to run backwards and lost yards instead of his forward momentum. But
I mean, we could talk about that MVS play too, where Chris Jones about lost his mind.
Oh. Yeah,
jumped off the bench anyway. But so like I wish there wasn't so many cameras on the field, where they're like trying to capture everything, but like that was just between a coach and a player, and if they want to talk about it, they can talk about it, but I think they have too much respect for each other to make it people are blowing it up to make it something that's not. And so
that's what I think too.
So
I think it was a moment, but I think it was in the heat of a moment in the biggest game of the year. And, a bad play just happened, and Travis Kelce was taken off the field for what was considered a breather for him after being on the field for a few plays, and he wasn't happy about it, and he was letting his coach know. Andy Reid even laughed about it after the game. Said when they asked him about it, said, "Oh, well, he just caught me off balance right there," and he said, and Andy Reid even said, "I do that with the players sometimes too, go and bump them, trying to get them motivated and talk to them." And Travis Kelce was just saying that too. And Travis Kelce even said, "Hey, I went back later and made sure that Andy Reid knew that I wasn't really that upset and apologized." So I think people just made a lot out of nothing there.
That would have been bad though if he fell.
If he fell, it would have been much worse. And I think if he would have fell, now I'm assuming a lot here, but I think if he would have fell, Travis Kelce's attitude would have changed immediately. I
Yeah.
really do. I think.
Oh, yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
think Travis Kelce and all those players, I think they
Yeah.
love Andy Reid so much
Oh, yeah.
that if he would have fallen over, Travis Kelce would have immediately tried to help him up. I really believe that.
Though. The memes would have been awesome.
Yeah. They would have been. They would have been. So I don't think there's any chance Andy Reid's going to be retiring. I think he is having too much fun.
Oh, yeah.
Especially coming off back-to-back wins. Why would you not try to three-peat?
Three-peat, especially when you have your two best players talking about a three-peat. Why would you not? Yeah. Hey, yeah. Come on, coach.
Absolutely.
Come on. We need you, coach.
All right. I think he's coming back, and I don't think there's much debate on that. So, but what about this? Is Spags, should he be considered a head coach? Why is he not getting these interviews?
Listen, no, he should not be considered a head coach. He's a defensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs until he dies.
Yeah. Hey, I think he deserves some
No, I do.
But
I do think he should get a recognition for the head coaching job. But I think like the problem right now, all these owners want the new shiny toy. And they don't want the old head. And Spags is 62, I think, somewhere around there. And so they don't want. Unfortunately.
Well, that's younger than Andy Reid.
Well, I know, but I'm like, and also I think Spags like crashed and burned in St. Louis, right?
Yeah.
Was it? This is where he coached?
It was.
Yeah.
That was. Yeah. He was in a bad situation to begin with. I don't think any coach would have succeeded there.
No. Yeah.
But I'll say this too, to your point. I think a lot of these owners want an offensive-minded coach.
Yeah, I think
And Spags. We know his defense is great this year, but no one was talking about it before this year. And so some of these people and ownership groups, I think they might want to see it for a more consistent basis than 1 year. The other side, Spags tried the head coach. Maybe he's just thinking, you know what?
Right.
I love this position right now so much that I'm having so much fun with these guys. I don't have to worry about the pressures of the head coach that I'm just loving it. And he's getting paid a good salary by Clark Hunt and the Chiefs. So he might be all right.
Yeah, he has his home. Yeah, so I think definitely some guys are not all head coaches. Some guys are defensive and offensive coordinators, and that's okay. We need those guys in life. So
yeah. All right. Well, let's wrap this up real quick. So
all right.
Last thing, and we're not going to dive too deep into this. I'm sure we'll have an off-season podcast somewhere talking about more of the free agents and so forth. But just quick thoughts. Here are the major free agents, and you tell me if you could only re-sign 3 of these guys, okay?
Okay.
Tell me which ones you would re-sign. If you could only re-sign 3, we're not even going to talk about the money at this point. So
no money. Money doesn't matter.
Money doesn't matter at this point. So just tell me the 3 between Chris Jones, L'Jarius Sneed, McCole Hardman, Donovan Smith, the left tackle, Drew Tranquill, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Tommy Townsend, Willie Gay, Jerick McKinnon, Derek Nottie, Mike Dana, your guy, even the wide receiver Richie James.
Okay, real quick.
3 of those guys.
Yeah, man. Why'd you only give me 3? Give me Chris Jones, L'Jarius Sneed for sure. Those 2 for sure, and then give me Drew Tranquill.
Well, yeah, it's hard to argue with that. I would for sure pick Chris Jones and L'Jarius Sneed.
Yeah.
I struggle between Tranquill and Gay. I think both those 2 are really good.
Oh, they're fantastic. I think Tranquill gives us a little more football IQ and doesn't rely so much on his talent overall.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And which is his ability. And not to take anything from Willie Gay, great football player. I just think Drew Tranquill's played a little longer, veteran leadership, great. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I'll say this. There's not a player I've loved watching more in this postseason run than Drew Tranquill. Being with the Chargers that many years, nothing gets the Chargers. Well, maybe a little bit, but
a lot with Yeah,
okay. But you can
didn't you hear they won the?
He is loving every moment. Every moment. It's fun to watch that journey.
You didn't hear the Chargers won the AFC West?
Oh yeah, for the preseason for like the 10th or 12th year in a row. So
they won it next year.
Congratulations to them.
They won it next year. We don't have to worry about playing.
So
they
Chiefs
won it.
Win the first postseason game in Allegiant Stadium, even before the Raiders do. So congratulations, Chiefs fans. We're loving it. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Kingdom Corner. We'll see you next time right here in the Kingdom Corner.